There was once a time where Call of Duty was the biggest game on the planet. The 5 years between 2007 and 2012 was an absolute golden generational run, and it's something that we will never see again. These 5 years were, without a shadow of a doubt, the golden era of Call of Duty. 2007 marked a huge milestone for the gaming industry as a whole, and in particular for Call of Duty, and that was due to the release of the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare. This was the blueprint for the rest of the franchise. Prior to this, most of the FPS games on the market was World War II shooters or dominated by some older theme. Call of Duty 4 brought a bit of modernisation into the scene. It brought modern guns, killstreaks, perks, and it shifted the entire FPS landscape forever. It was the start of the killstreak system, which is now so complicated that it's not even enjoyable. But there was a 3, a 5 and a 7 kill streak, a UAV, an airstrike and a helicopter. It was so simple, but it worked so well, and it really was revolutionary. The maps and the atmosphere was so magical in this game. Crash, Crossfire, Overgrown, Strike, they're all such iconic maps. There was gritty, there was memorable. The whole maps played so well, and it did give that Warzone kind of feel without it being too outdated or too far into the future. I mean, these maps were so good that they're being re-released in games that are being made today. This game's nearly 20 years old, and the maps are still being used in updates in new COD games today in 2025. That shows how good and how evergreen this game and these maps were. The thing I loved the most about COD 4 is it was kind of the start of the competitive scene with Call of Duty. MLG and game battles absolutely took off. There was competitive tournaments all the time. S&D tournaments became absolutely massive, and this is where our S&D players really originated from. And this game really hits close to home for me, because I don't know about you guys, but this was kind of the first COD that I really played and really enjoyed, and it really did get me hooked on Xbox and on Call of Duty. And the proof's in the pudding. It sold 16 million copies, and it put COD on the map as the online shooter to play. It was the absolute perfect start for a massive Call of Duty franchise. They couldn't have done it any better, and I reckon they couldn't do it again if they tried. A year after Modern Warfare or COD 4, we got World at War. This was a return to World War II. It kind of went back to the roots of FPS shooters, but it was darker, it was grittier, it had a violent undertone to it. It actually scared me. The game used to terrify me as a kid. The weapons in it were just magic. Alright, the MP40 was disgustingly broken, but the guns were great to use. The maps were scary, they was intense, there was a bit of atmosphere to them. It was a tough game to play, and the campaign was just beautiful. The campaign was one of my favourite campaigns ever in COD, and obviously the key selling point for World at War, why it's so iconic and definitely deserves a spot in the golden age, the COD zombies. It birthed Call of Duty Zombies, the mode that we have today. This was the first COD that it was introduced in, and it was so difficult. It was terrifying. The maps was terrifying. The noises, the brightness of it, the guns, the whole thing scared me to death as a kid. World at War was definitely not as hyped as some of the other COD games, but Zombies alone secured its legacy. Then we move into 2009, and this is where things got heavy and things got fast and things got incredibly exciting for Call of Duty players. Next king to take the throne was Modern Warfare 2, a direct upgrade from the original Modern Warfare, and this game was just special. It was a personal favourite of mine. It seems to be a fan favourite. Everyone's got their own opinions, but it was a personal favourite of mine. This is the nostalgia king of Call of Duty. Everybody remembers this as the most iconic COD, and for good reasons. This game was the definition of overpowered fun. All the guns were busted, all the kill streaks were busted, but because everything was busted, it kind of made it balanced. Other than RPGs with Danger Close and the noob tubes, everything was on par because it was also broken. Guns like the ACR that was a laser beam, the UMP that was just the most OP gun in history. The intervention is just iconic. They was broken but beloved. They was absolutely perfect. All the guns in this game were so fun to use, so satisfying. All the attachments was great, and there was a lot of variety. When you compare it to the original Modern Warfare, every gun had a different way of playing it, different attachments, different things you could do with it. The perk system got completely revamped and was a little bit temperamental. Things like One Man Army, Commando Pro, Danger Close, they was a bit unfair to be honest, but they was hilarious. Commando Pro was just the silliest thing ever, but it made it fun. It allowed for more playstyles like tack knifing. The perk system was great overall. It opened up so many different playstyles. Riot shields, throwing knife, tack knifing, quick scoping, people rushing, people playing safe. There was so much you could do. Like, there was so many different perks and so many different things to do with these perks that it just made it so much fun and added some new variety to the game. And the maps in this game, I think, will never be forgotten. You've got Rust, you've got Terminal, High Rise, Favela. I could just list them all day. All the maps in this game were so fun to play. The only one I didn't get along with all the time was Derailed, and that was if it was a bad lobby. But they all played different. They all had something unique to them. High Rise was one of the favourites. Terminal was just next level. I love the maps in this game. I really can't fault them. Yeah, there were some cheese spots, but everybody could use them. The way they played, the way they looked, the way they felt, absolutely perfect. And of course, the big one, the killstreak madness. Tactical nukes, AC-130s, chopper gunners, Harriers, Pavlos. It was bedlam. It was perfect. The actual streaks were so fun and so rewarding. People that went for a nuke, it was Harrier, chopper gunner nuke, or an AC-130. But there was purpose to a game. It wasn't just necessarily to win via objectives. You could sit and grind out these Harrier kills, hope that you can get the chopper, hope that you can get the nuke. It was such a fun challenge, and it gave you something to strive for every game. And that feeling of getting a nuke and that noise and the fact that it ends the game was just perfect. And they started to remove this in the later CODs, didn't they? The Moabs and NW3, where it doesn't end the game. It's like, no, I've just grinded out 25 kills. I want to end this game and win it. And you can still see firsthand how much of a powerhouse MW2 was, with the things that are around nowadays, like the content creators, FaZe clan, or these trick-shotting clans, all the montages that came out, people dropping nukes. It was like the birth of content creation. This was COD culture at its peak. Game chat always popped off. All the competitive scenes started going again. All the custom matches you could do, Mike Myers, all these things. It was so much fun. This game had such an impact on the world. 2010 marked the start of a new era for COD, and that was in the form of Black Ops 1. It did an excellent job at making its mark in the COD franchise. The Zombies was a massive upgrade from World at War. It came back with a vengeance. There was more maps, there was more guns, there was more perks. It was such a good way to play Zombies, and it did provide such a beautiful base for the Zombies game mode. Personally, Black Ops 1 Zombies was my favourite. I spent so many hours on Kino, running around on that stage, getting to the Pack-a-Punch machine. It was so much fun. It provided so much more community aspect to it, with the party games that you could get online. Wager matches was iconic, and we've never seen them again. Gun games, sticks and stones, one in the chamber. It was all so much fun. There was actually something on the line, a bit of skin in the game, more of a reason to play with your mates, more of a reason to get involved more with the community side of things. It was a massive extension into the content creation world with the introduction of theatre mode. Being able to record your games and store them and clip them down. It was something we hadn't seen before. It was exciting. People was producing lots of content. Zombies was always a big content creation mark, and the multiplayer also saw lots of content being made around it, just from the addition of theatre mode. I don't need to remind you how amazing the multiplayer was. It was difficult, it was rewarding, sniping was tough, there was a couple of OP guns, the FAMAS was ridiculously broken, but multiplayer as a whole felt good, it felt rewarding, it was balanced, apart from the FAMAS. So I don't need to touch any more on that. And the campaign that came with it was magical. I do prefer the Black Ops campaigns just for the vibes it gave off, the Cold War kind of vibes. And it messed with your head a little bit. It was such an interesting campaign. Mason and the numbers will always live in my head. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, it did. 2011 Modern Warfare 3. This was the apex of popularity. This is where Modern Warfare peaked as a whole. The trilogy, the hype around it, it was a massive release. The multiplayer was a direct upgrade from Modern Warfare 2. It was modernised, it was tweaked, it was balanced, and it was a different playstyle. It was the same game but completely different. A lot more variety in terms of weapons, a lot more balancing. There was some standout guns that was a bit more OP, i.e. the ACR and the MP7, which really shouldn't have been an SMG to be honest. But apart from that, all the guns was good, the sniping was great. The MSR is one of the most iconic snipers about. But there was more competition with it. It wasn't just one assault rifle or one SMG. You could use so many different things with different attachments. And of course, the specialist strike package as kill streaks, gaining your perks on your kill streak. It was my favourite. You cannot beat it. Just racking up them specialist streaks when you got the specialist bonus at 8, the noise and the icon that popped up, it was so rewarding.
Specialist bonus achieved.
And you was just an absolute unit, and it was a nice way to play the game. And obviously there was the addition of the support streaks as well, which was more for like your reserve players. They don't want to go on the kill streaks without dying. They can just build them up throughout the game. These was incredibly useful. It accommodated for different players and different play styles. I really like this addition. The maps was not as iconic as the previous CODs, but they still did an excellent job. They grew on me over the years. To start with, there was a lot that I really wasn't a fan of, and only half the maps in my eyes was playable. But the more I played the game, the older I got, the more I appreciated these maps and their little quirks that came with them. But still, record-breaking sales. I think it netted $775 million in 5 days, which is absolutely insane to think about. Another fantastic addition to the Modern Warfare franchise, and again, they couldn't have done it any better if they tried. Now we move into 2012, which is the final stretch of the golden era of COD, the 5-year generational run that will never be topped in gaming history, and that is with Black Ops 2. What a game, an absolute masterclass of a video game and of a Call of Duty game. This was the competitive peak for COD. League play started, there was a ranked culture, there was more skin in the game with playing. It gave you a reason to try hard. You could jump in ranked games and prove your worth in it. It was wicked. Saw a reshuffle to the creator class system with the pick 10. I loved this. This was a fantastic change. It gave you a bit of value over certain things. What do you value more? You can change this, you can change that, but you lose this. It provided variety. There was so many different classes you could run, and I think this probably should have stayed throughout COD, to be honest. And let's not forget the maps. Iconic, all of them. Raid, Standoff, Nuketown 2025, Hijacked. There was so many good maps in this game. They fit the game perfectly, which I think COD don't do nowadays. They release maps that in paper look good, they'd be great in a Battlefield game, but in COD they don't fit. This game and the maps were suited and went hand in hand. And another direct upgrade to the Zombies game mode from Black Ops 1. There was more maps, there was different kinds of maps, a bit more lore involved and different quests to do in them. Origins, Mob of the Dead, Transit, you know, having a bus that takes you around a map and you got to get on it or you get left behind and you got to run through all the fog of war. It was great. I loved Transit. The Zombies on Black Ops 2 was brilliant, and I think this was as far as they could push the boat before it turned into a bit of a silly game mode. A great kill streak system as well, with the score streaks as opposed to straight kill streaks. It gave you more reason to play objectives. You got points for assists. You could stack them up better, and it was nice. The kill streaks was quick. They was consistent, but it was very tough to get them overpowered ones like your dogs or your swarm. It did take some grinding. It was very well balanced. The Lodestar as well, like what an unbelievable streak that was. And Black Ops 2 cemented COD esports. This was the pinnacle. Because of the ranked game mode, the competitive scene took off, and esports around COD took off big time and cemented its place as the top dog there. It's widely seen as one of the best entries into esports, and this is where the competitive scene really ranked up. The professionals that came out of this and that did it as a career is absolutely mind-boggling. Some people just there at the right place at the right time. I love Black Ops 2, the community around it. The nostalgia is brilliant now. Optic, I used to watch Scump and Nature all the time. It birthed so many good content creators and so much good content that's out there nowadays. But unfortunately, as with all good things in the world, they must come to an end. Black Ops 2 marked the end of the golden run for COD. They set the bar so high with these games that they've just never been able to get back to that level. From 2012 until now in 2025, they will just re-release the same kind of game with a few minor tweaks. And now they don't even care about the game. All they care about is your Snoop Dogg and Nicki Minaj skins and your bullet tracers and loads of things that cost money that don't actually affect the quality of the game. They're all broken, they're never released properly, and they cost a fortune. They have neglected this once wonderful franchise into a big cash cow. I will always be grateful that I got to experience these games in their peak, and I feel like it's why me and a lot of other long-time COD players feel so strongly about how disappointed we are with the new COD games, because they really was so magical back in the day. This run will never ever come close to being beaten, especially in COD, but in the gaming industry as a whole. I don't think any game ever has released so many good titles in such a short time span. Banger after banger for 5 years straight. So fair play to them for that, but it's a shame what's happened to it now. If you agree or disagree and you have enjoyed this video and enjoyed a trip down memory lane, please make sure to leave a like, leave a comment and subscribe.